Good morning, my creative friends. Dr. Minette Riordan here. This is Painting in Your PJs live with Minette. It is a beautiful Thursday morning in Loveland, Colorado, where I live. If you're brand new to Painting in Your PJs, I want to encourage you to hit that subscribe button. I'm almost at 2,000 members and would love to get there. Even thinking about when I do get there, maybe doing some fun giveaway of some collage goodies because I have so much and I would love to share. So if you are a subscriber, tell a friend and invite a friend to come and join us. And again, if you're brand new, hit that. Sorry, you guys. Apparently, I'm froggy this morning. Hold on one second. I'm just going to mute my mic for just a second. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. All of a sudden, my voice decided to give out on me just a little bit this morning, so apologies. Hey, Barbara. Good morning. Good morning. Are you home from the Zenjoy? Looked like you had an amazing trip and like it was a really fun experience. So I'm delighted to see everybody here this morning with my froggy voice. It'll clear up in a minute, so please bear with me, especially if this is your first time. It's morning voice. And we have been spending the last couple of weeks making paper dolls. Last Thursday, we looked at using some gel printed papers, making some of our own gel printed papers to create some of our paper doll clothes. And today what occurred to me was that I want to create a scene in my art journal and place a paper doll in the scene, because the magic that really happens, and congratulations on getting to teach a class, my friend, as well. Super excited for you. Glad you had a blast. The magic that happens with these paper dolls is not in the making of the dolls, but in what happens after the fact. The playfulness and the fun comes from the creation of the dolls themselves. But there's always, when you're working with intuitive collage, a deeper personal meaning that can arise from interacting with your creations, whether it's an art journal page, a mixed media piece of art, or the paper doll itself. So I have a huge pile of stuff in me today, and I want to look at how can I create a scene in my art journal and a doll to go in that scene. This may take me the whole week to work on, but I figured we would get started on it together today. All right. So I've been having so much fun with an Etsy artist, and I want to go look up her name real quick, and I want to stick it in the chat. So bear with me one second while I go and look this up. So these are printable collage ephemera that you can buy on Etsy, and there's this one artist that has these really beautiful, mystical, magical scenes that just really make my heart happy. And her Etsy is Ink and Page. Ink and Page, and her name is Debbie at Ink and Page. And so because yesterday was the full moon, I got her blue moon set of ephemera, and there is just so much fun stuff in here to play with. There's tags and ATC size things. There's larger bits like this beautiful moon. There were some gorgeous animals, like look at that beautiful fox. So just a variety of different pieces. And that book is beautiful. There are some characters as well, some beautiful full moon ladies. So if you're wondering, where does Minette get all that amazing collage fodder? A lot of it comes from magazines and old books, but I have also been getting some of these printable ephemera from Etsy as well. And there's some artists that I really love that are really, really creating some beautiful magical things. Love that tree. I might need that tree today. So I wanted to just share that with you as an option because people ask all the time, where do you get all this stuff for your collage? Well, there's no one simple answer to that in a lot of different places for sure. Let's see. So I have my big journal for creating the scene, but kind of what inspired this morning was this page that my friend Leslie sent me. I loved this is like feels like it could be like a logo for me because it's so much of my own personal work emerges out of these books and stories, right? It is the fodder for so much. Thank you so much. You are the best, Barbara. I appreciate you. Um, a pr- so this is like the origin of so much of my work comes from story, and so how this story is sort of growing up out of this book really inspired me to think about creating a scene that my dolls can move around inside of. And like she kind of fits perfectly in there, and that each doll, and these have not been created yet, these are the beautiful cutouts from Gudrun Shodrin's catalog, and I'm wondering as I create these dolls and create this scene, how the story might shift and change with dolls who come to visit this particular storybook. And so I want to start with this image and see what I can create today in terms of starting to create some scenes in our art journals so that it's not just about the dolls, but we understand how to use them interactively for a little bit even deeper meaning. And I'm thinking this little foxy, so that's not going to fit, but I may cut this little fox out. I love foxes. I also had some fun. I pulled out my Sizzix this morning. All of a sudden I realized that it was time to come join you guys, but I was getting caught up playing with my Sizzix. So this is an embossing folder of some angel wings. So maybe I'm in need of some angelic support this week. We have close to 400 people enrolled for our mythical makeover experience this weekend, and I'm super excited and a little bit nervous. And it's a good nervous, like nervous, excited. So maybe I need a muse to support me through the week. And then I found just a bunch of these different little bits and pieces. If you've never played with a die cut machine, they're quite fun. Might even use these little bits and pieces. I might have to get a X-Acto knife and see if I can get those insides that are stuck out of there. But what I loved was this sort of reversed image here. Get this piece of purple and you can see beside. And this was a page from an old journal that I was testing jelly printing on. Tori and I had the best time. Sunday afternoon, we gel printed for, I don't know, 3.5 hours and had so much yummy stuff. So I'm kind of loving this row of flowers. And this is a really cool sun image, but this one was really hard to cut out. So I am going to see if I can pop this out. And if not, I will set it aside because I really loved this fun sun shape, but it didn't necessarily cut as well as I wanted it to. It seems like half of it cuts really well. It's kind of fun even with the little pieces sticking out. And I tried this one a couple of times, but I might have to keep working on this one. So we might set that one aside for today. I had some textured paper. I had this fun little bird. This is the gel printing I did on our call together last week. Some butterflies, and I love this is just a piece of scrapbook paper, but it looks very painterly. So I had this sense of creating this sort of magical interactive scene from some of these handmade papers to see what we can create today. And I love even the cutouts of some of these are fun and will get saved for later. These are some more butterfly wings that I might cut out. Also some more flowers from some of that gel printed paper. All these things are very fine. This is actually a template for a little envelope that I haven't used yet. I went to my favorite art resale store. Oh gosh, it's probably already been about a month ago, and they had moved and they were having a huge sale on Sizzix die cuts, and so I got a variety of fun things to play with. But how cool is this little template here? So let's see. These are gonna get folded inside. That one's gonna get folded on the bottom. Those pieces will get glued, and all of a sudden we have this beautiful hand painted little envelope. So maybe there's some kind of secret little envelope that's going to go in our scene. I don't know yet, just showing you kind of all the fun things that I had. Here's another one of these little flowery ones, and you might recognize this was the piece of paper that I was using to clean my brayer off, and it just created some magic all of its own. And this paper also did not cut super clean, but I'm kind of loving even all these little pieces. They're not all wanting to come out, but we've got maybe some extra little flowery bits. And when I start to create a sort of mixed media collage ephemera page like this, I always gather more than I need to start. So it's way better to have plenty of things to choose from and then to go from there, sorting and collecting. All right. Even if I can get part of this little sun out, I would be happy, but it's definitely going to take a little magic X-Acto knife work, I think, to get, because the sun itself is super stinking cute, and it's not cutting great. So that one's going to need a little more experiment. Let's see if we can get this butterfly out of here. And of course, when I need an X-Acto knife, they're all on the other side of the studio. There's one. It's amazing how that can just help you pick that out of there. I don't even remember what this is, so again, there's a hand painted butterfly. It looks like there's a little tear in the paper there, and I can come back and carefully poke out all these little bits to create this beautiful butterfly. How many of you have a Sizzix or something similar and you almost never use it? It stays sitting in your studio and you're wondering, well, what can I do with it? Or how many of you have one and you absolutely love using it and use it all the time? So it's very popular with people who especially love like card making, but it's great in your art journaling and mixed media as well. Any kind of a die cut can add texture and visual interest to your work, and I am loving lately creating things that have a lot of dimension to them. All right, this little guy is super fragile. Good morning, Mary. You have a Cricut, and a Cricut, those are electric, right? Like those are the ones that you plug in and you create the die cut on your machine. So somebody just gave me a silhouette, which is a different brand of a Cricut. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet to play with it, but I am excited to do that when I get past some of the other things that I have going on right now. And I really love I got a Sizzix Big Shot because it will take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So it's a much larger format one. Cuts out all kinds of things. That's exciting. All right, this one's going to need a little help getting its wings glued back together here. And you can see it's got some of the little pieces didn't get all the way cut. All right, so I am not going to fuss with that right now. And this was interesting. I attempted to do the embossing of the angel wings, but it doesn't show on the pattern paper. So I could turn this over and use the white ones, but I really love this, so I probably won't. So that's a piece of gel printed paper. I've got some handmade textured papers here, and I have my art journal. So this was kind of before when I was still sort of sticking things down, and now I'm like, then I came upon this, well, what happens if my paper dolls start to travel? I don't know what I was doing here, just playing probably with some paint. Like, look how much it changes simply by putting them. Good morning, good morning. Thanks for joining me. Maltina. So fun to see how they look when they land in a landscape, right? When they land in a landscape. So like what happens when she moves around and she becomes part of this landscape. So this is kind of the idea. Good morning, Carol, of where I want to go. This was painty fabric painted with a corn cob. Somebody sent me a really fun video on using a corn cob for using as a stamp or a stencil. And so this is a fresh corn cob dipped in acrylic paints and rolled on here. And I just love how that came out. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But again, we want to just start to create some different scenes in our journal. I got all kinds of things and notes in here. And I am going to start with, there was a lot of talking and not creating, but you guys can see this is how my crazy brain works. And sometimes it just takes time to get ourselves set up and ready to go. Yeah, the corn was super fun, and it's a great, summer activity, right? So I love this yellow textured, and I'm going to start with the scene and then probably either bring in some of the dolls that I've already created or start with creating a new doll. But I want to start with this, and I think I'm going to cut this out. Welcome, Jennifer. Thanks for being here. I sure appreciate you. And I love that you're working with paper dolls as archetypes. That's awesome. Much appreciated. I love hearing feedback and what people are doing with them. And my friend Leslie is an amazing creative and dear friend. That's who I co-led my last retreat with. She's Leslie at a simple creative life, I think, on Instagram. But I always love the way she does her collage work, and she keeps things moving around and traveling. And it's amazing how she shifts and puts things together and tells new stories. And she's really inspired me to work with my intuitive collage. Plus, we created these amazing travelers as part of our last retreat. And in doing that, we're really loved how that concept of having these sort of characters that move and travel, and that's what has inspired the paper doll making, is being able to move things around. So I'm trying to decide if I want to put some paint behind this, if I want to put some paper behind this. I'm feeling like it needs some water here at the bottom. This is some handmade paper. It has big old pieces of leaves in it. That's not quite right. This one, little subtler, just some scrapbook paper. That might work just a little bit better. Let me see if I have anything. There's no purple in there. It needs something to kind of make it feel sort of grounded there at the bottom. Let's see. So this is really beautiful and interesting. I don't care about the skiers. This is from an old hand-painted book celebrating the Olympics and has some really yummy colors. Oh, those clouds are nice. Okay, so let's try playing with some of these to create the scenes. I'm glad you have another archetype to create. We never, ever, I think, run out of archetypes to work with. And if you're not familiar with what an archetype is, it's a term that was coined by Carl Jung to express sort of the unconscious aspects or parts of self. Today, I would say Parts Work by Richard Schwartz is kind of similar, but it's all the different roles, parts of ourselves, ideas and concepts, and they are both personal and universal. Mother is always a very easy example of looking at archetypes through that lens of we understand that universal concept of mother. Okay, that's really gorgeous. Whether you are a mother, you obviously had a mother at some point, even if you no longer have that mother, you had a mother. Let's see. There's the universal mother. Being raised Catholic, there's the Virgin Mary. That is an aspect of the mother archetype as well. All right, I think this is what's going to go in the background. I thought it was going to be green, but what is wanting to come are all these blues. And I'm going to figure out how do I want this to transition here. King, queen, ruler, leader, jester, warrior, all different types of archetypal images. And we all hold these archetypes within us. Sometimes some of those archetypes are more active than others, but a lot of times those archetypes sort of surface from our unconscious at a particular time when there is a lesson to be learned. Sometimes it's an easy lesson, sometimes it's a challenging lesson of healing and growth. All right, I think I want to brighten this up with maybe a little sun moon shape over here. So I'm going to use this lid. I have fallen in love with these super textured colored papers. I'm loving how they just add elements of texture to my paper dolls and to other collage work that I'm doing. Also, we have still just a couple of spots remaining for our fall retreat, which is the first weekend in October up in beautiful Estes Park, Colorado. We have a lovely group already gathered, and I'd love to get 2 more women to come and play with us. My friend Emma Freeman is going to come and teach us about slow stitching. If you don't follow Emma, go check out her beautiful work on Instagram she's Deep Rooted Healing. So all this done, we're going to start to see these different stories emerging. And I may want to go grab some double stick tape instead of just a glue stick because this paper is super thick and I want to make sure it stays put in my journal. Definitely thinking somehow this is going to need this little envelope tucked in. We're going to start to build this story. We just kind of layer these butterflies up a little bit. And I can always paint these up, right? So just because I cut them on my die cut machine does not mean that they're done or that they're complete. Maybe there's a little more something something that they need. I love these kind of dark flowers. This is what I love about the die cuts is you get all these super fun little pieces that can be layered together to create a little bit of magic. Maybe we have some things growing. What else we got over here? I'm just picking up all these little bits and pieces of things. Okay, that is not the right color. This, I love the bird, but I'm not loving the colors of the bird, so I'm feeling like maybe the bird needs to get a little something something added. And I'm also feeling like I love these butterflies, but I want them to have a little bit more dimension. There's one of those little centers. We kind of bring some of those different colors and images around. So I want everything to look like it's kind of flowing up and out of this scene. And I didn't know what the background was going to be before I started cutting. I just took some of those jelly prints from last week's session and started cutting them up. And she's going to change a lot, but I'm already loving the story that is emerging, right? So she has a very different look and feel to her than she does. At the moment, she actually fits better, even just size-wise and appearance-wise and maybe thoughtfulness in this scene. Excuse me. So she may be the one that ends up in this scene. All right, where did that piece go? I'm thinking maybe this little bit is going to go down here on the bottom. Sort of tying some of those yellows together. Might even fussy cut it a little bit more to just give it a little bit more shape, but it also kind of connects our yellows. And if I can eventually get one of these cut out, I really want one of these to go on top. We'll see how patient I am with getting a tiny little X-Acto knife and cutting all those little pieces out. Patience is not one of my virtues, even if some of them are kind of sticking up and shining through. Oh, it's a lot bigger than the one underneath it. Nope. Okay, it's going to stay the way it is. And let's see, we had these few little bits. Nope, they're gonna not show enough either. So this is the fun part for me, sort of the fussy, playful, starting to pull it all together, thinking even that if I stick down just the three sides of this piece down here, that it becomes a pocket where if I want to tuck a doll in there for a while, she can get tucked in there. But I think I want to come in. I don't want this to be quite just so square across the top. So I'm going to come in and just give it a little roundness and shape. I don't want to lose the storybook image because it is that dominant image. All right, that feels a little bit better, and now it almost feels maybe I want to be able to see the book so we know it's a book. So I'm thinking maybe these are all going to start coming down from the very bottom over here and sort of growing up and out. I may cut some more in some different colors of these dudes. Love those little leafy bits. Okay, so it's starting to come together. I think we need a little bit different color palette. So I am going to play with these two butterflies and my birdie here for a minute and see what we can do to dress it up. And I have just some markers sitting here beside me. And I want to see if I can maybe just change the colors. And I'm seeing that also he's got, all right, how can I lose every tool right in front of me? I thought I did put it back where it goes. So sometimes just taking a little X-Acto knife can help us push those out. But what I'm seeing is I think I needed to use a different, there's different heights of sheets in the Sizzix and and this one didn't get cut quite as much as I wanted it to. So I'm still pretty new to using it, so I have a little bit of work to do. But I think this is going to give him just a little bit more dimension to just be willing to sit here for a minute. And this is the creative process, right? It's like, okay, if this is what I want, don't be lazy. Make it work. Make sure it's exactly what you want. Sometimes it's easy to just say, oh, forget it, it's too much trouble. I don't want that. But I do want that. Except I'm thinking with this color palette, I think he needs some blue on him, or just to be a little bit darker. I might even just put a little layer of blue over him and see what happens. And then I think I'm going to come in and just maybe add a little bit of zentangle to my butterflies to dress them up a little bit. Let me see what I have here. I've got some koi watercolor markers. And I don't care if I get anything on this page because I'm going to cover it all up. And I know also when I put this green over the red, it's going to change colors, but it's translucent enough. I'm not going to lose the pattern that's underneath there. Oh, I forgot my little fox. We got to get our little fox in there as well. All right, so already that feels a little bit better, just that little touch or pop of color. Also feeling like he could be a little sparkly. And I've got some just old cheapy kids sparkly markers that are super fun to play with. And that may not be as, I may want something even sparklier like a jelly roll. Yeah, not quite sparkly enough today. Let's see. There's a gold one, but that seems really dark. But what if we just darkened up a little bit? Of his tail. And so we're going to get a little bit of that sparkle sparkle in there on him. So it helps a little bit, maybe still not exactly, but it's a good start. He's starting to have a little more character than he did before. Actually, I'm kind of liking, I wonder, all right, I'm going to go for it. And he's going to become all gold. Don't ask me why. This bird reminds me of a phoenix, and I love the phoenix is also an archetypal symbol and image of death and rebirth, and how many times that throughout our lifetime we have the opportunity and the reminder to just start over again. This feels better because now he feels also a little bit more like a silhouette, and he's going to pop out so much better against that sun over there. And these guys, let's see what we got here. So we're just going to give them a little bit of a body. I love combining all of my interest and passions into one piece. So collage, painting, zentangle. And we don't have to do a lot to things like this, even just adding a little bit can make a big difference and make them stand out quite a bit more. One of my favorite patterns is anti-dots. It's one I use a lot. If you're a tingler, it's probably one that you're familiar with. So it's a little bit of a variation on anti-dots there. And look how much difference it makes and it looks by just simply adding a little bit of decoration on here. Another one of my favorite patterns is Nzeppel. Squeeze that in there. And I'm using an Inkjoy gel pen because it's what I had in front of me. But I love the inky flow of them. They do smear and spread, so I wouldn't say they're the best for tangling. But surprisingly, I don't have a micron right in front of me at the moment. So making do, sometimes we interrupt our creative process by thinking that we have to have exactly the right tool or the right supply, and sometimes the best magic actually happens when you use what's at hand. Tricky part is going to be repeating this over on the other side so that it looks at least similar. But already I can see, if we bring these guys back in here, how much it changes by adding some dimension, right? And all of a sudden the butterflies are going to really look like they're coming off the page, which is what I'm going for here. And of course, drawing is relaxing and calming. And I'm doing this over die cut images, but you could do this over magazine images, hand cut butterflies. As soon as I start that tangling, my voice slows down. I'm not racing through to finish anything. Just enjoying slowing down and being here present in the moment. And I could make dots all day long and be a happy, happy girl. Just adding a little bit of line weight in there to give those just a little visual interest. And they're not exactly the same on either side, but look at the difference between this plain butterfly and the tangled butterfly. Definitely a lot more interest. And again, even though I'm using collage, I love getting my own hand into the paper. Let me get this gel pen or this paint pen activated here real quick, because what's going to make this pop even more, just a few little white highlights. Not being too precious about any of it. I love monarch butterflies, and this is not intended to look like a butterfly, but I love the little white dots on their beautiful wings. Oops, of course I smeared that one. And because that ink joy is not completely dry, I can see it's picking up a little bit of the black underneath. And that's all right. Now I see that one, I'm like, I wonder if this dude needs a little something something, but maybe later. Okay, we're going to keep this one really simple because I want to actually maybe get something glued together on the page. And once it's glued down, I can still come back and add more over the top. So I think this one is going to get just a really simple outline. So you don't have to take an hour to add texture to a butterfly. Even just a few little bits and lines can make a big difference. Definitely feeling wingy energy, so I'm paying attention to what's kind of showing up and presenting here as I am working on this. So I have a bird, there's butterflies, there's, I guess those are just leaves, but lots of wings seem to be a theme. So just thinking about what is it that is wanting to take flight in my life right now. So as I create, I'm always thinking and looking at sort of what's that deeper meaning here. All right, so I'm going to begin to lay this all out. I will glue it all down later when I find my double stick tape. And of course I have to go teach at 8 o'clock. So I can't play forever, although it's one of those days where, oh, I could just spend the whole day doing this and be quite happy. Get our other butterfly. See if we can pop out a few more of these, even if I don't get them all popped out. That's better. So these are looking pretty fancy, and this one might need a little black around it also, but I'm going to leave it for now. So this is one of the things I'm learning about intuitive collage is when I'm willing to be patient and not feel an urgency to have to glue things down, magic can happen and different parts of the story emerge. So this one is no longer fitting for me there. And where'd my little fox go? I have so many little pieces floating around. Oh, there he is. I think he needs to get tucked over here. And I will fussy cut him a little bit later. But we got our little sort of secret foxy fox. I may bring out a little more of these oranges and reds in here to kind of tie the colors together. Probably going to bring some dimension, a little bit of color back to this guy as well. I like the silhouette, but even if I just add some tangle patterns to him, I think we'll start to match a little bit more. And then we have our little bit of flowers growing, and I love this because it looks like everything is just sort of starting to flow and grow up and out of this storybook, which was exactly where I was going with the idea and the concept. I think these are going to need maybe some more pops of color, so I might get out my posca markers and see if I can just add a few little interesting pops to some of these to make them pop off the page. But I kind of like the contrast of the oranges and the blues behind. It's making those colors pop in the center up there a little bit more. Some other little flowers here. See if we want to tuck a little bit of that blue behind to kind of echo our guy over here. All right, it's coming together. I feel like there's maybe still a few more elements that want to come to play. So what about something like this? I am the artist of my own life and I'm creating this story. I love maybe even something like this that, I'm shining that light on a story. Got lots more books. So for everything that we start to add or change, right, the story starts to evolve just a little bit more. Oh, maybe it's not this birdie. Thank you, Tori. Maybe we're going to have this little blue birdie kind of pulls those colors together. And I'm wanting one more of the butterfly images, so maybe this is going to be the third butterfly. The colors match. I love that. Love when a palette starts to come together. That one's too big. Don't need more books. Wonder, do we need some candles to kind of light our way into the story? Oh, here's one that's already cut out, fussy cut out. Let's try that one. Better. So that one's going to need a little more, I think, pattern to match. They definitely are going to need a little bit more sparklies. This right here has all the colors in the palette, so it feels like it's just sort of pulling everything together a little bit. Different and better. I love her. What if she is our traveler in this one? So that makes a whole different story. And I'm just sort of picking through. Fun little apothecary jar. Oh, there's a lantern. We might need a lantern to light our way on this magical journey. So all of these characters can become travelers in this story, right? So if we cut these out, all of a sudden we have all these different stories starting to emerge. So she's walking away into the story, right? So there's something different here that's very different than this much more dominant character or this character. And they're all part of the story, right? There's no right or wrong. There's no specificity here that needs to happen. But what I'm loving here is the scene that is emerging. I'm just going to cut out this last little birdie and then go switch gears to my 8 o'clock class. So I'm not going to super fussy cut, but this one feels a lot better as part of the story. All right, so these, I have some fussy cutting to do and a lot of gluing to do to kind of pull the scene together. But what I love is that we're going to end up with this amazing storybook that is going to allow for all these different characters to come through this story and find their own voice, right? So she has a story to tell. She has a story to tell. Each of them, she has a story to tell. So many different possibilities. And so when you think about creating scenes like this in your art journal for your dolls, set a scene that creates the opportunity to tell many different stories. So we've got this open space and this sort of flourishing here of all of these things. So it feels like a good start. I will get it finished. And on Thursday, I want to create some of these characters that are going to become part of this scene in my journal. As always, thank you for joining me live. Thank you for watching the replay. If you have not subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button. Invite your friends to subscribe so we can keep this all going. I love doing this. I love being here with all of you, and I'm grateful you take the time to come and play. Have a beautiful rest of your day, everybody, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.